At the Consolata Shrine during Beryl's memorial service, the hall was heavy with sorrow. Family, friends, and leaders gathered to honor a woman who lived a life of service and quiet dignity. But the defining moment of the service came when her daughter Chizi Ambala stepped forward. Her voice trembled, her hands shook. She paused, and then she spoke the words that revealed everything. When Baba passed, the very first words out of my mother's mouth were, "There is nothing for me on this earth anymore." A gasp moved through the room, not from shock, but from understanding. Because everyone who knew Beryl knew what Raila meant to her. They knew these were not casual words. They were a window into a soul collapsing under the weight of loss.
When Baba passed, the first words out of my mom's mouth were, "There is nothing for me." She said, "There is nothing for me on this earth anymore." You often cannot tell how close two people really were until one of them is no longer here. At every turn in her life, Baba was there. She often told me stories about when Baba was living in Nairobi West as a bachelor. He would pick her up and bring her to his apartment. He would give up his bed for her and sleep on the hard floor, all for his love for her. When my parents divorced, he did all he could to assist her. And recounting to us how my father managed to find my mom, Baba, my sister, and myself in Zimbabwe through a private investigator. Baba very passionately called the private investigator a bastard. Forgive me, Father. My name is Chizi. Here in Kenya, people laugh and do a double take. They can't understand how that is my real name. Shortly before I was born, my parents had fought and made up. My dad had told my mom to go ahead and name me. So she chose the name for me, Chizi. She thought it was beautiful. So I love my name. It is a symbol of her love for me. So I wear it proudly, and I'll stand up for it. Even if it's against the entire country laughing at me, I am fine with it. I'm trying to understand how it is possible that I could go to the ends of this earth, Mom, and I will not find you. I learned unconditional love from you. You were so intelligent, and I was in awe of your knowledge and ability to pull information at the drop of a hat. You were strong for me, also very strong, Mommy. You refused to ever let me give up. So I wanted to do the same for you, Mom. I wanted to be strong for you and not give up. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. But even still, I know now that I was selfish. I wanted you to stay here for me, not realizing you were tired and you had given me so much and you needed to rest. So now I'm learning to accept and let go. Heaven has taken you while my sorrow has engulfed me. I am grieving, yet I am glad you got to live life on your own terms, Mommy. You made your presence felt wherever you went. I pray heaven has received you with the same warmth and love you gave. I take comfort in knowing that Uncle Raila has met you. And as my sister said, I know he's telling you, and you are telling him.
Chizi went on to describe how instantly and completely her mother began to fade, not physically at first, but emotionally and spiritually. In the days after Baba's death, Beryl's laughter disappeared. Her energy drained, her vibrant spirit dimmed like a lantern starved of oil. She walked slower, spoke less, and smiled rarely. A deep, unspoken ache settled inside her, an ache she carried quietly, yet an ache that consumed her. Beryl and Raila were not merely siblings, they were each other's anchor, a pair whose connection went beyond ordinary family ties. Their story began in the bustling streets of Bondo and the busy corridors of Nairobi West. Raila, young and full of promise, always protected his sister. One story became a family legend. Whenever Beryl visited him as a young man, he would give her the bed, and he himself would sleep on the cold floor, refusing to let her be uncomfortable. This small gesture, repeated over the years, built a foundation of love that Beryl never forgot. When Beryl's first marriage became turbulent and uncertain, it was her brother who stepped in. He supported her emotionally. He guided her. He stood with her through the storms of adulthood. Later, in one of the boldest chapters of their lives, they moved together to Zimbabwe, where they rebuilt, redefined, and rediscovered themselves. For Beryl, Zimbabwe was more than a new country. It was a sanctuary, a home chosen not by chance but by love, a place where she and her brother crafted a shared life away from politics, noise, and expectations. So when he died, the pillar she leaned on, the companion she relied on, the friend she trusted was gone, and with him went her will to live. Raila's death sent shockwaves across the nation, but inside Beryl's heart, it created a void too large to fill. Her daughter described how the house fell into unnatural quiet. Beryl began withdrawing from conversations. Her gaze lingered longer on old photos. Her phone rang unanswered. Her meals grew smaller. It wasn't depression in the medical sense. It was grief, raw, consuming grief. The kind that doesn't scream, it just quietly breaks you. Those closest to her could feel the shift. Her presence grew softer, her energy more fragile. Her once bright spirit dimmed like the final glow of a dying candle. She would speak of him with longing, with tenderness, with the sadness that crept into every word. In truth, she did not want to live in a world where he no longer existed. Before her final chapter, Beryl lived a life marked by courage, achievement, and profound dedication. Born to Jaramogi Odinga and Mama Mary, Beryl grew up surrounded by history, leadership, and the weight of a national legacy. Yet she carved her own path, far from the political spotlight that defined her family. Her most defining professional chapter unfolded in Zimbabwe, where she made history as the first black town clerk of Mutare, a role that demanded brilliance, resilience, and grace. She became a leader in a time of transition, guiding one of Zimbabwe's biggest cities with firmness and fairness. When she returned to Kenya, her expertise earned her a seat on the board of Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company, where she continued serving the public with the same quiet strength she carried all her life. But what defined her most was not her career, it was her heart. She was a loving mother, a loyal sister, a gentle friend, a woman of humility and warmth. People described her as calm but strong, soft-spoken but firm, private but immensely caring. Her life was not loud, it was impactful. As Beryl's health weakened, her daughter prayed. She prayed for healing, for time, for strength, for a miracle. But in her tribute, Chizzy confessed something honest and heartbreaking. I prayed and prayed, but I now know I was being selfish. I wanted her to stay for me, but she had already given so much and she needed to rest. These words were not just a daughter grieving, they were a daughter realizing her mother had been quietly slipping away since the moment she said, "There's nothing for me on this earth anymore." On November 25th, 2025, in a Nairobi hospital, her tired heart finally rested. There was no struggle, no drama, just a gentle letting go, like a leaf falling from a tree when autumn arrives. At her memorial, people from every chapter of her life gathered to honor her. Family members spoke of her resilience, colleagues spoke of her brilliance, friends spoke of her kindness, and her daughter spoke of her love. Chizzy urged everyone to remember her mother, not for her suffering, but for her unwavering devotion to her family, to her principles, and to her life. Beryl Odinga lived quietly, but she loved loudly. She served humbly, but she impacted deeply. She grieved silently, but her pain was immense. The story is a reminder that behind every strong family, behind every historic name, there are human hearts, capable of greatness and vulnerable to breaking. Her words after her brother's death were heartbreaking, but they were also honest. There is nothing for me on this earth anymore. And so she followed her heart to peace, to rest, to the brother she could not live without. May her story remind us all that love can be powerful enough to build a life and grief powerful enough to end one.